What's going on, guys? This is Kevin from fearlessprogression.com, and today I'm going to be talking a bit about mental health. And I feel that mental health, in a lot of ways, goes hand in hand, with self-help and the kinds of videos I was putting out previously. And mental health is actually going to be a big part of this channel. I feel like, mastering your mindset and, having goals in life and really developing yourself really ties into your inner psychology and what kind of state you're in. And the way my life has gone, I've actually been diagnosed with mental illness in, particularly obsessive compulsive disorders. So that's had a big impact on kind of how I viewed my life and, just the way my life has been perceived by myself and how I've experienced life in general. So I think it's very important to talk about that. And, my ultimate goal with this channel as well is to really help people who have, gone through mental health issues in the past, have experienced what I've experienced, and as well who've had their self-esteem tarnished by, things like bullying and other things that have really brought down their self-image and really how they see themselves. And I really want to push forward the message that, anybody can achieve their true potential. It doesn't matter whether you have mental illness or any sort of other adversity that holds you back in life. So I'll start by telling you guys a bit of a story from something I experienced and kind of a bit of a time when I spiraled down a path where I was really affected by my OCD in a tough situation, just to kind of show you guys what I've gone through. So anyways, I went on a trip in 2014 with my two friends. I talk a lot about the trips I go on with my two buddies where we go see baseball games and stuff like that. So I was down in the United States in 2014 on a trip, and this particular trip, I had an OCD obsession. And to give you guys a background, if you aren't familiar with obsessions and compulsions, when you have OCD, you have on one hand obsessions and on the other hand compulsions. So obsessions are basically thoughts that emerge in your head and you really just can't let them go. You really focus on them heavily, and they really take up a lot of your energy, and you're constantly going back to them and having very negative, counterproductive thoughts about them. Whereas compulsions are like habits that you do, without really thinking, or you logically realize the action is unnecessary, but because you have a compulsion to do that action, you do it anyways, and your mind subconsciously says that you have to do it and you have to keep doing it. So on this particular trip, I had a really bad obsessive thought, and that obsessive thought was that for whatever reason, I had to tell my friends that I had OCD, and if I didn't tell them that I had OCD, then I wouldn't be able to enjoy my trip and, enjoy anything that I do on it. And over the history of my past, I've actually had a lot of obsessive thoughts at times where, I'm free of all other things. I'm free of, let's say schoolwork or different responsibilities, to the point where, I'm at the point where I want to just enjoy a nice ease and relaxation and just feel happy and just live my life and just live in that state of relaxation and bliss. But because I have these intruding obsessive thoughts, I'm not able to do that, and they really stop me from doing that. And they allow me to just focus on that so much. So on this particular trip, I had this recurring thought that I had to tell my friends that I had OCD, and it got so bad, and to the point where I was literally almost in tears, and I had to. Fortunately enough, I had my text message service accessible back to my parents. So I was going back and forth with my parents, asking, what do I do? And my mom got to the point of saying, like, look, like, you can either stay here or like you can get a flight back home, and that's totally okay. But I was determined to stick through it, and my dad said something that really hit home with me, and that was that I should just focus on what I'm actually doing in the trip, and just focus on distracting myself and getting outside of my head in that way. As long as I kept busy, as long as I kept doing something instead of focusing on my obsessive thoughts, then it's slowly gonna gradually dwindle. And that's really what I've learned, actually. I read a really great book on OCD. It was called Brain Lock. And it goes through 4 key steps that you can do when you have OCD that helps you really reevaluate your thought, reaffirm it, and really get yourself to focus on something else. And yeah, I mean that's really what it's all about. So what I really took away from that book that really changed how I viewed obsessive thoughts is this whole concept of being able to just switch your focus to something else and distract yourself. So what I start doing is just immersing myself in different things. Really trying to just take my head away from the obsessive thought. So I was really able to get over the majority of these obsessive thoughts that I always had, because every year I would finish, let's say, school, and I would always have a new obsessive thought, new obsessive thought. But I can honestly say that for the past couple years, I haven't had any real recurring obsessive thoughts that have weighed me down. And that's because I understand that if I have an obsessive thought, I can just start doing things repeatedly to distract myself. And in doing so, I'm able to really dwindle the thought down to the point where my brain's chemistry is actually changing. And this is something, it's really useful, right? Because if you tie it back to self-development, self-development says that, you can really alter your mindset in a lot of ways. And, your inner game and your beliefs about yourself and, how you feel about like what you can achieve in your life and do this, do that. That's all tied to your brain chemistry and, the fact that you can actually alter that. You can change that. You can exercise your brain to the point where your physical brain chemistry actually changes, which is super awesome. And, when I read this book, Brain Lock, it really showed me for the first time that, your brain chemistry is not something permanent. You don't have to be this victim of OCD, for your whole life. It's not what you don't necessarily have to be that. You can, work on practicing different techniques and brain psychology to the point where your brain chemistry actually changes and you're not suffering as heavily as you were before from stuff like this. So that's really what I learned from that, and that's really why I'm doing this channel and bringing content to you guys today. And of course, OCD, really translates over to my life vision that I talked about a couple of videos ago, my life purpose. And, I truly believe that, mental illness, stuff like this, that holds back so many people. There's so many people right now who are suffering from depression, OCD, different mental illnesses. People, suicide rates going up because people are suffering from these things that are horrible. And, the fact that, I've realized that you can change a lot of this stuff just by practice and habits and really just, habitual action and stuff like that. I really want to spread this stuff to you guys and really show you guys that you can reach your true potential despite mental illness, despite any adversities in life. So the question is, you guys are maybe asking right now is, do I still struggle with this kinds of stuff? And the truth is, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I haven't fully got rid of it or anything like that. I still have compulsions that actually don't really weigh me down that much. They don't really interfere with my main goals in life or what I'm doing. As you can see right here, my hands are actually really dry, and I do wash my hands quite often, more than most people, because I am a bit of a germaphobe in some ways. So that's pretty true, and I have other compulsions like double checking if the door is locked multiple times, things that don't really interfere that much. There's one main obsession I have that's been a tough one to get rid of thus far is I have an obsession with my mind freezing in conversation. So if I'm talking in any particular conversation with other people, and even including now when I'm talking to you guys on the video. I actually have a fear subconsciously that my brain's just going to go my mind's just going to go blank and I won't have anything to say and I won't be able to recover that thought. So it's basically like what people have when they have stage fright or fear of public speaking, which I do a lot to practice this as well. Those kind of fears, but in everyday interactions, so even talking with friends, I have this sometimes. And so that's made it very challenging, actually, and it's actually been the stem that has created like my social anxiety and stuff I'm experienced in those areas of my life. And yeah, so I mean that's something I still battle with, but aside from that, my OCD has gotten a lot better since when I was a younger kid. And I feel like you guys can improve yours too. I mean, just by applying different techniques and changing your brain chemistry. So, of course, to hit home with you guys, I'm motivated to not let it stop me. Obviously, I want to be able to completely get over it and share with you guys that you guys can too. So that's it for today, guys. I want to encourage you guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you can relate to it, please leave a like, and I would greatly appreciate that. And until next time, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.